You know, on the surface, this may seem like a pretty silly video. And I actually had a hard time, you know, well, how am I going to do a video about ordering parts? But, you know, remember the name of this series is Your First Engine Job. And I have to do this, I'm doing this from the perspective of walking, let's say, a 19-year-old kid who's never done anything like this before, walking him through this step-by-step process. So that's why a video like this may have value. Obviously, it has no value to anybody who's ever done this a time or two. But I want to go through the process of ordering parts, selecting the parts and ordering the parts, and then we go from there. Now, the engine itself is, if you've been following, it's completely disassembled. The block has been honed, the crank has been cleaned, the block has been cleaned, everything's been measured, everything's inspected, and we know what we need to put this thing together. Now, typically, if I was doing a job like this, normally, I have a couple of places locally I would buy parts from. And I've got Nashville Engine, which is a warehouse that's just 20 miles up the road, and usually I would get my stuff from there. But not everybody watching this series has an engine warehouse up the road or a reliable place that they can get parts from. So I'm going to do what anybody else would do and buy the parts online off of Rock Auto. Now, I have no association with Rock Auto. They don't give us any money. There's no affiliate things, or I don't get a discount. So I'm just doing this as random as anybody could possibly do it. I'm going to go to Rock Auto and order the parts. So let's spend some money. And let's spend as little as possible to get parts that are going to suit the job. All right, so Jeep. J. Yeah, I can't remember the alphabet. Okay, there we go. Jeep. 1998. Cherokee. 4.0. And engine. Boom. Okay. So, going back over what we found when we took the engine apart, we decided that after inspecting the cam and the lifters for wear, taper, and crown, that they were good to go. They're going to go back in the engine. Now, in previous years, previous times, for me, it would have been a no-brainer. Just order a cam and lifters. They're not that expensive. But given the state of parts and the run of bad cams and lifters that have happened for the last several years, since the parts we have that look good, measure good, I'm going to take my chances on them rather, you know, it's a devil you know versus a devil you don't. So they're all going to go back in. So we can skip right past the cam and lifter kits and all of that. Of course, obviously, you may need a cam and lifters. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what you're working with. So you'll have to find that on your own. Okay, now all right, let's see, camshaft plug, connecting rod. We don't need rods, connecting rod bearings. We do need connecting rod bearings. So while the main bearings on our engine were pristine, not a scratch or a mark on them, they're going right back in. We are going to change the rod bearings. There were a couple of upper shells that showed a little bit of wear, so they're cheap enough. So we're just going to order a set of rod bearings. Now, we know that our crank is standard because we measured our crank being standard. And I assume that you're going to measure your crank and know if it's standard or if it's ever been cut. Now, if you don't have measuring tools, you should have at least something to make rough measurements off of a crankshaft, a caliper or whatever. You can look at the back of the old bearing shell. So take one of the old bearing shells and look at the back of it, and you'll see it'll say like Clevite, and it'll either say .std, which is standard, or it'll say .010, which is 10, right, or 020, 020. So actually, even just to double check your own measurements, assume you did measure the crankshaft, well, you could double check your measurement by looking at the shell that's coming off of the engine. So now, in our case, it's standard. So we only need a set of standard. We need 6 of them. So first thing that pops up here is Mali Clevite A-Series aluminum. Don't buy aluminum bearings. I found this out the hard way. I was on a rush to put an engine together last year and couldn't get the bearings I needed on the spot. So I ordered offline. And instead of sending me the bearings that I ordered, I got a set that were marked aluminum. So and I've never used aluminum bearings before. And since I was in a rush to put this thing together, I put the motor together with the aluminum bearings. Now, they may be fine in like a Briggs & Stratton, okay? But if anything with any type of power, don't use the aluminum ones. They distort, right? They distort, they'll spin on you, right? I don't even know why they sell the things, honestly, right? Get a traditional tri-metal bearing. So we have, okay, CB96P on this. This is a tri-metal bearing for a pair. Let's see. Choose size. I know all they have here is an undersize. They don't have them in standard. Let's see. There's another set of aluminum. Well, let's try these sealed powers. Okay. Choose size. Well, it's not giving me a description of these bearings. Now, I want to know that they're not aluminum. And I'm not finding that. All I'm saying is info, choose size. Well, they certainly don't look aluminum. Okay. So, let's see. Standard. These are $6 each, and I need 6. Add to cart. All right, we got our first set. We got our first parts. $36.42 for a set of 6. That's not bad. That's not bad. All right, so now let's go back and let's see. Connecting rod bolt, we don't need that. Conversion, lower gasket sets, no, we don't need that. We don't need a crankshaft, we don't need main bearings, we don't, main bearing gasket. Now the gaskets are going to come, we're going to order an overhaul gasket set. So let's see, engine gasket set. Okay. Felpro. All right, so now this is going to be a complete gasket set. There's going to be everything we need: oil pan, head gasket, valve sub seals, oil. Name it. It works. Okay, and this is $71.79. Felpro. I trust Felpro. We're going to go with Felpro. So we're going to add that to the cart. Okay. Let's go back. Cylinder head bolt. All right, so now we do need head bolts. We had a couple of them that were stretched. When we unbolted the head, we found just 1 or 2 of them actually had a snap to them, and the rest of them were kind of loose. So they were either overheated, or they were over torqued, or they're just fatigued junk bolts. So we need a set of head bolts for this thing. And let's see. I think we can get away with the cheapest. Our cheapest option here is going to be just fine. So $17.20. So we ordered those. Okay, we're going to need a set of freeze plugs for this thing. So we're going to go with brass, because it'll outlive me. I mean, you can cheap out and buy steel if you want, but brass is always the better choice. So full set here, we've got $266 each, $26 for this set. Okay. Now, let's see. Now, okay, it takes an exhaust manifold set. That's what we're going to be in there. Oil pump. We're going to throw an oil pump in it. And you can inspect your oil pump. You can take it apart and you can make all of the measurements as would be outlined in your service manual. I'm going to go ahead and change this one. I'm going to tell you why I'm going to change it without even checking it. When we took the motor apart, the oil pump is held to the block with 2 bolts, and one of those 2 bolts was just finger tight, right? Now, I don't know if that's something that happened, let's say when the engine overheated, or if, let's say, it was just done like that from the very beginning. The engine was born like that, and the oil pump was always held in place with 1 bolt. But I'm concerned with what happens is you have this aluminum housing that's been torqued in place for a couple 100,000 miles, and with 1 bolt, and now I'm going to tighten 2 bolts down. Is that going to distort? Is it going to cause problems with the oil pump? So rather than take a chance with that, they're cheap enough, I'm just going to order an oil pump. And this is one of those things, I don't think we have to spend a lot of money on an oil pump here. We've got, this one's 25 bucks, and I'm just going to add that to the cart. Okay. And let's see, oil pan, gasket, oil pump. That's all we're gonna. Okay, now here we go. Piston and ring kit. So as you remember, our engine had a broken piston. Number 6, the skirt was busted, and the other ones weren't looking so hot either. Actually, 2, 3, and 4 looked okay, but number 1 was toast, and number 6, because the ring lands were all, you know, not nice. And number 6 is actually broken. So we're just going to go ahead and order a piston and ring set for this thing. So our choice is here. We only have one choice here. We only have one choice here. Engine Tech. Boy, it would be nice if I had more than one choice. But now this is going to come with rings. And these are standard. They're standard bore. We're going to maintain our standard bore. And we need 6 of these things. So this is going to be just standard replacement piston and the standard replacement rings that go with it. And we added that to the cart. Alright. Now, timing chain. Let's see, timing set. Timing chain. Okay, this is just a chain without the gears. I don't want that. I want a timing chain set. I have run into problems where you'll change just the chain, and the pitch on the teeth does not always match the pitch on the chain. So I prefer to use, just change the whole set, top and bottom gear, whether it needs it or not. Change the gears along with the chain, make it a set. So let's see, timing chain and component kit. And we don't have to go crazy here. Wholesaler, private label. Most of these things are going to be, and I've seen this, you know, you have all these different manufacturers, it's the same exact part. They just put it in a different box and charge you a different price. Here's one for 20 bucks. I'm going to throw that in there. And what else do I need? Timing chain guide damper, and we've got that timing cover gasket, that's going to be in our full set. Repair sleeve, no. Crank sprocket, no. Springs. Alright, now we're going to reuse the head that's currently on the engine. When we take that head off, we'll go through it. Now, since it has full compression and it runs fine, the problem is it also has a noise. I'm not concerned about ordering valves or anything like that for that now. And the seals that we're going to change will come in the overhaul gasket set that we're ordering for this now. So I think that's about it. Oh, we want to throw a water pump on there, because as long as we've got this thing apart, let's see, I guess we're going to have to go to cooling system? Cooling system, okay. And thermostat. You're going to order the stat for this thing. And I'm gonna go for a 180. $1.50. And water pump. Where's my water pump? Airtex. $22. It's a name that I know. I'm just gonna go with that. Okay. And I guess that's it. I believe that's all the parts we're going to need to order to put this thing back together again. So let's see, we'll check out. Alright, I don't want to do that yet. Okay, so my total on all of these parts as it stands right now is total with tax, total, and payment. It was $461.80. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Considering we got a full set of Pistons with us. So I'm going to go ahead and put the order in. I don't know what the shipping is going to be, but that's kind of irrelevant for our situation because I don't know where you're shipping from. So our total here is $461.80, and the parts should be here. I mean, typically within a week, everything will show up. Anytime I've ordered from Rock Auto. So I guess that's it for now. Right? I'll let you know when this comes in. We'll do an unboxing, and then we'll start putting this sucker back together again. I hope you got something out of that. I got a bunch of parts. I'll see you tomorrow.